Hello, love. Welcome to the Shy Love Radio Show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium. This is your host, Melanie Hogan. The Shy Love Radio Show is hosted by Shy Love LLC. Now, before we begin, let's take 3 deep breaths. We're going to inhale, hold for 3 seconds, and exhale. 1, 2, 3. Now, let's do an update on COVID in Illinois. New COVID-19 cases have topped 2,000 for the first time since late May. We are currently at 2,264 new confirmed cases, with 25 additional deaths. There's an estimate of 1,486 patients treated in Illinois hospitals, with about 333 patients in the intensive care unit, about 125 patients on ventilators. The good thing is that there is a 95% recovery rate for those who are having positive results. Everyone who is diagnosed with COVID-19 is not dying, but there is also word that people who have been diagnosed with the virus still has like additional symptoms. Everything is not bouncing back to 100% as it was prior to catching the COVID-19 virus. So COVID has been interrupting our lives on every level so far. We are now in August. Because of COVID, the unemployment rate has risen. Illinois has extended unemployment benefits for another 20 weeks to those who have received at least 26 weeks of benefits. Unfortunately, the state's unemployment numbers continue to soar because of this coronavirus pandemic. 25,000 people filed for unemployment benefits. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill it seems as though there's always some type of debate, some type of holdback, some type of a personal agenda that's being pushed when the focus should be on the people and what the people need and what the people deserve. Everyone is having to endure this pandemic. It's not like people are just walking off and quitting jobs. The virus has put everybody in a position that is quite humbling. And yet we have people on Capitol Hill who are going back and forth about everything, the unemployment benefits, the stimulus checks, everything. But Donnie Boy did sign off he originally signed off for $300 of extended pay. But the state got him to add on an extra $100 so that people will be receiving not $600 anymore, but $400. You know, we've had continuous talks about Democrats, about the Republicans They have been going back and forth ever since these two parties have developed. Donnie Boy is not a fan of Democrats. And he's saying that if the Democrats don't get it together, he will act under his authority. That is nothing new for anybody who has heard this man speak. He is a true believer in making others respect his authority, and he will pull it any type of way that he can, even if it has to be vetoed by the Supreme Court, and they have to let him know that just because you're the president at this time, you know, you can do this, but there's certain things that you can't do. So I guess he's learning as well. The Cook County rental assistance. People are facing evictions. Despite the fact that the coronavirus has hit everyone, it has put people in positions to where they can't be so patient for their money anymore. There are landlords who own unsubsidized properties, so they are not receiving any governmental assistance, and they need their money in order to pay their own bills. So Cook County has a rental assistance program to offer up to $4,500 per household hit hard by COVID-19. The $20 million program will take applications starting Monday, August the 18th, and is expected to provide financial relief of up to either 3 months of rent or $4,500. The assistance is part of federal funds provided to the county from the Federal Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. Recipients will be picked through a lottery system, though 25% of the participants will be specifically chosen because they live in areas of the county that were hardest hit by COVID-19. The county will give the money directly to the landlords. There is an anticipation in a rise in evictions, although TT Mayor Lightfoot and Governor Pritzker have put the word out to the landlords to be more considerate, to try to work with the people as far as paying their rent. A lot of landlords are really getting tired of it. They are moving forth to file for these evictions. So in order to try to help out the landlords as well as the tenants, we do have this aid here. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle described the pandemic as ravaging. It's ravaging the country. She says that many working families have suffered the brunt of the economic impact, and this is true. You know, there was a halt on evictions in Cook County that is set to end August 22nd. Now, in order to qualify, renters have to show a financial hardship tied to the pandemic, such as being furloughed, having hours reduced, or having to quit a job. The household must have had an income less than $51,000 before March 27 to qualify. A household of 5 must have an income of less than $78,650 to apply. Applicants do not have to be U.S. citizens or residents. Residents with a housing voucher aren't eligible. You can review your eligibility at cookcountyil.gov/recovery. People are also having problems with the postal system during this time. A lot of mail is coming late, if at all. And it is said that COVID is testing the post office motto about nothing stopping the deliveries. Well, they said rain, sleet, or snow. I guess at the time when they put up their motto, nobody knew about COVID. So Chicago resident Barbara Jackson said that it took 3 weeks for her household to receive their medication. A lot of people are getting their medicine delivered to them now because of the COVID. Not only because of the COVID, because of the looting and protesting, and a lot of Walgreens and a lot of places are actually still shut down. So the next big test for the USPS is the November election, and residents are wondering if their ballot will be counted. We have a lot going on in regards to the November election. Number 45 is saying that he's actually trying to get that cut out, although he himself and his wife have voted through the mail system. Now all of a sudden he thinks that some type of way it'll be fraudulent and the numbers won't come out correctly. Isn't that something? The Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy, calls the agency's financial position dire, but he disputes reports that his agency is slowing down mail and says it has ample capacity to deliver all election mail securely and on time. The post office is seeking at least $10 million to cover operating losses and to help pay retiree health benefits. So it's like COVID has impacted everyone on one level or another. That's why I say that this is teamwork here. There is not an individual to where COVID has not affected their lives in one way or another. We all need each other to get through this. It's dire. We're tired of waiting. We're having more restrictions. We're regressing back in the phases. A lot of people have a lot of anxiety and depression during this time. But we have to find a way to connect to our happy places. Even despite all of the sirens here in Chicago, we should at least have a happy place mentally that we can tap into. Even the animals are noticing something missing at the zoo. They say that the animals are noticing that the people are not around. Now, while lockdowns have forced zoos and aquarium visitors to stay home, the animals appear to have noticed that they have the place to themselves. Staff says that some of them seem to miss people, while others don't exactly seem to mind that no one is tapping on the glass. Animals get depressed too. And they were conditioned to receive visitors, and now some of them probably are having little anxiety or depressive moments. Now, CPS. There has been such a debate about the children returning back to school. There has been such talk about the uptick amongst the cases between the age groups of 18 through 29. Although some people were actually fighting to restore in-person instruction, CPS will not reopen for in-person instruction this fall. Very good, CPS. My children were not going to attend in-person instruction either way, but very good. I'm glad that we are all in agreement and alignment with this. Officials are still trying to finalize their remote learning plan. CPS is encouraging families to reach out to their children's schools if they need a computing device or if they believe they are eligible for free online internet. Classes are scheduled to begin September 8th, with the hope to be at least partially back in the classroom by November. Now let's talk about that here. If you notice, when they did finally tell us about the coronavirus, they broke it down in stages, and they give it to you bite by bite, piece by piece. Because let's be realistic here. They were letting us know that this was new to them, that they weren't really sure what was going on, that this is an unpredictable situation, this is an unpredictable virus. So they were giving us, according to them, the knowledge that they had at the time. So, okay, here go a couple months that we're supposed to be shut down. Then it started to extend a little longer, then extend a little longer. So, I urge you parents to basically be prepared to have your child at home at least up until next year sometime. Because if the numbers, first of all, they said that they expect, a fierce return or uptick of the virus numbers in the fall. What do we think that the numbers are going to look like in November? When that's definitely during the cold season, the flu season, the pneumonia season. So just to be optimistic, I feel like they are saying that hopefully they can have people, partially back in the classroom by November. But realistically, is that even logical? And I know that you can't tell a lot of people exactly what is going on, because it will start mayhem, chaos. People are holding on by a thin thread as it is. So the idea of seeing that it's August now, and they're already saying that, it's going to be remote learning till November, and the kids just came off of remote learning because of the virus. A lot of people are at their wit's end, and they need some type of end date in order to, try to cope. But let's just be realistic, people. They said that when these numbers, when the fall came and the winter time came, they were actually, concerned about that way back in May, way back in March. So more than likely, just get your homes comfortable. Try to start to come up with new ideas to try to de-stress. Let everybody have like certain little space, personal space. And we're just going to have to endure this and deal and cope as best as we can until we're, out of the red zone. And can we do it? Yes, we can. Sometimes you just have to have other, you got to be open to change, first of all. You have to be open to change and be able to adjust to that change, despite liking it or not. So for those who need additional assistance to prepare for remote learning, you all can call the CPS Family Hotline at 773-417-1060 or email familyservices@cps.edu. The decision to start the school year remotely, it could help as Illinois tries to slow the spread of the COVID-19 cases, especially seeing that it is starting to affect the younger people. At first, it was just the elders and those who already have an underlying condition. There are even certain studies and reports that are saying that even the younger kids are experiencing symptoms from COVID, but it is affecting their bodies in a totally different way. Some are saying that they do have COVID and they're like little hosts. And we all know how children are, especially when they go to school, from a simple cold. One child in that classroom catches a cold, the class got it. And then they didn't brought it home, the families have it. And we all know that that spreads so rapidly. So it is best. And we definitely should not be using our children for sacrificial pigs to see whether or not it's going to take them out or not. Like, that's out of the question. So students in the capital of Illinois, they are not allowed to wear hats, bandanas, sunglasses, pajama pants, or slippers in the school building. And now the dress code extends to their bedroom and kitchen tables. In addition to sitting up out of bed, they need to preferably be at a desk or a table. So you may have your schools send you guidelines as far as how your child needs to be dressed and needs to be presented when having this online remote learning. We here at the Shiloh Radio Show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium. We will always give you updates on what is going on with the COVID, what is going on around Chicago, what is going on with CPS. So, in addition to debating on whether or not to send our kids back to school, there has also been debates on whether or not to continue to have CPD, aka 12, in our schools here in Chicago. So CPS announced that it will cut out $18 million from the $33 million budget for stationing officers at schools. We all know that we have seen footage, we have heard reports, we have heard from the mouths of babes how the Chicago Police Department has been handling the youth within the school system. We have seen footage of our children being slammed, being drugged, being bruised, little girls and little boys. Now imagine, are a lot of these youth kind of savage as they call themselves? Yes, ma'am. Do a lot of them have disrespect and disregard for authority? Yes, sir. Do a lot of them feel like they can go toe to toe with an adult? Indeed. Indeed. And I understand in certain situations you can't allow a child or anybody to take you down or put you in a position to where you're hurt. But there should at least be different steps that are taken before you just start to slam a child and drag them through the school and make them an example for the rest of the kids to let them know that you don't mess around and you're not the one. Because you want to know something? No matter how tough these children talk, at the end of the day, after they've been chastised, after they've been abused, you know what they're going to say? I'm just a kid. But they're not talking like kids. They're not acting like kids. They're not responding like kids. But once the S hits the pen, they're going to remember that they're just a child. I'm just a kid and you're the adult. You got to always remember that. A lot of them are being abused as it is. And that's the reason why they act the way that they act. A lot of them are conditioned to immediately jump to violence and respond in a violent way. So for someone who is trained to just snatch a kid up, you know, it's a very awkward situation because they are children. But at the same time, these children are the ones who are pulling the triggers on the guns. These children are the ones who are busting the windows. These children are the ones who are cutting up out here. So something definitely needs to be done. In my opinion, is to restore the parental rights, not giving parents the authority to beat and abuse their children, but to discipline their child as necessary so that a police officer does not feel like they have to just treat them like savages. Give these parents their right to raise their children to discipline, not abuse. Discipline is to teach, abuse is to punish, and there is a difference. But there needs to be more discipline coming from the household. But a lot of parents feel like their hands are tied and they can only do or say so much, because if they step out of line with it and it gets reported to somebody, now you got DCFS, the police, the family courts, everybody up in your business because your child has the knowledge that they can disrespect you and they can go and tell these people over here and they're going to come check you for trying to put them in their place. So then we have the police who is not disciplining them, shooting them down, slamming them, who is showing them that if you don't want to do what your parents say, or we gonna make you do what we say. So perhaps if we could rewind that back some and actually give the parents their parental rights to discipline their children, we may start to see some type of improvement with how the children are behaving in school. A lot of them don't have respect for teachers. A lot of teachers have gotten jumped on by the students. You know, it's really been some ridiculousness going on. But nevertheless, they are cutting their budget. So the debate has been going on at more than 70 schools here in Illinois. And CPS has paid $18 million for the previous school year because of the days officers didn't work in schools due to COVID. So CPD was like, still running me my money. I know that COVID shut everything down and y'all had to switch to remote learning real quick, but our contract called for this amount of days and that's not on us. So they still had to pay out 18 million to CPD because of that. So now that we know that we're going to go into remote learning now this fall, 4.5 million of the reduction is because of the remote learning days for this upcoming school year. And CPS also announced that at least the first quarter of the school year will be held fully remote. So another 6 million is being saved for summer months when officers aren't in schools or scheduled days of non-attendance such as holidays. 7.5 million decrease because CPS will no longer pay 48 mobile patrol officers who drive around schools and are not inside to respond to incidents in or near the schools. Their responsibilities were not exclusive to internal school safety. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. What were you all doing? Now I know I have seen quite a few schools to where the police was stationed outside of the school, but I didn't know that they was out there, but they weren't even dealing with what was going on inside the school. That was ridiculous for that to even be added inside of the contract. That was ridiculous. So the local school councils, TT said that she was giving, because those involved in the local school councils are parents who have their children attending the school, people within the neighborhood and the community. They are the ones who know firsthand what's really going on behind the scenes. So she put that, gave them the choice to sit down and discuss and go over the different options, as far as whether or not to keep the police involved or not. So most of the local school councils have chosen to keep the police around. Some of them are letting them go, but they are all committed to reforming the program, says the school's chief, Janice Jackson. Okay, so that's good that they are committed to reforming the way that the officers interact and respond to the students in the schools. I remember back in the day, we used to have officer friendly, and he made us not afraid of police, made us feel comfortable with if we were in trouble or something was going on, to where we were able to, you know, go up to a police officer and let them know what was going on and expect them to help us. Today, unfortunately, that's not that's not the energy that we have between CPD and the youth. That's not the energy that we have between CPD and the residents of Chicago. That's not the energy that we have between the police department and seems like all over the world. There was always issues where, NWA was talking about fuck 12 way back in the day. It was a lot of hip hop culture who was exposing the violence and the treatment, especially of urban people. And it's like now you can see it any and everywhere. They're not biased. Whether it's a boy, whether it's a girl, man, a woman, they don't care. So there definitely needs to be some sort of reform. Whoever gave CPD the impression that this type of behavior was acceptable, that needs to change, especially for the African Americans, the blacks, whatever you identify it as, one of the original people, whatever it is that you identify as people of color. The Constitution needs to be amended, because we all know that when it was put together, we were not included in that. And although they try to, say that it's all of us as one, the police are doing a very good job of letting us know that we're not included in that those rights do not apply to us simply by the way we are treated. I have two littles, 4 and 7 years old, and they like police officers. One day, me and my little smooching loving were walking, and a police officer just pulled up and asked me if he could give her a little badge. And he gave her this little plastic police badge. And she was just, it just made her little day. And she said, Mommy, I want to be a doctor and a police officer. And I asked her why. She said, because they heal people. She said they help people. She said they save people. She's only 7 years old. And it's like it's hard to burst her little bubble. Although we're going to have realistic conversations, it's unfortunate, it's disheartening, because the people that the children are under the assumption that they help them, that they keep them safe, that they protect them. We know that not all of the officers are in alignment with that. And it's like how many children looked up to these police officers, wanted to be a police officer, and actually witnessed an unjust act, actually became a victim of an unjust act. Even my sons, when they were younger, they had no problems with the police. You know, even certain people within the environment who are definitely 100% anti-12. You know, I would teach them that there are good people, there are bad people, there are good police, there are bad police. You know, and I still feel that way. But it's like the view of the good police, they're just being swallowed up by everything that is put out here by media from what the bad police are doing. And it's the same thing with Chicago residents. All this Chirac action is taking precedence. You know, that's not the majority of Chicago. It's a nice little number. I'll give you that. But it's not the majority of Chicago. That's not the core of Chicago. You know, they say a few bad apples just spoil a bunch. And it's like, it doesn't have to spoil a bunch. If you don't keep them bad apples in there with the good apples, it won't spoil the bunch. It's time to harvest. It's time to separate the weeds from the flowers. It's time to give these children who are our future something to believe in again. The good thing is that a lot of them are trying to step up, even though some of them are doing it in ways that we don't necessarily agree with. They still are doing something. They're not just lying back and being docile about the situations that's occurring out here. They're trying to do something. And we need to get out here and help them strategize and help them organize and get into it and become one. It doesn't have to be old versus young, black versus white, CPD versus the residents. My God, this is supposed to be a us situation with everything that's going on. That's crazy how when, you know, things get to shaking, the foundation starts shaking, and how everything just starts to fall apart. And instead of us coming together as a people, we allow situations to separate us even more so, go against each other even more so. Because now it's survival of the fittest. Now it's self-preservation at its highest, at its hardest. And everybody is thinking about what I need for myself. And you do need to think about what you need for yourself, what you need for your family. But also understand that we all in that position right now. And you can still obtain what it is that you need without just destroying somebody else or putting them in a position to where they're just going to be going without or in continued suffering. I know that people are tired. And hugs to y'all selves, hugs to us. Hug yourself. Hug yourself. Remind yourself of other things that you have endured, other situations that you have overcame that you thought that you were not going to be able to get out of it. You thought that it would never end. And look at you still standing. Look at you still moving forward. Look at you elevating in spite of. Focus on what you have to be grateful for. Do what you can without allowing the circumstances to make you forfeit the use of your heart. It's enough out here for everybody. As I always advocate for more self-healing, more healing as a whole. And one of my guests said, how can you heal from something that's still happening? Miss Angie A. Love, check out our video when she was a guest on the Shy Love show, radio show. How can you heal from something that's still going on? And that was a profound statement. It's like we still enduring what our mothers and grandmothers and ancestors before us have had to endure. Even though the circumstances have changed, it's kind of like still the same energy. But there are still things that you can do to help to restore yourself, to help to, heal yourself in spite of the constant pain, the continuous pain so far. And you got to understand, although you feel like you alone, you're not alone. You might feel like it's you who has the financial issues, or you don't have the love and the support, or, you're not alone. You're not the only one. We can get through this, y'all. Sometimes you got to take some time. Sometimes you got to isolate a little bit, but don't isolate too long. And just rethink and re-strategize and replan and focus on the love. Focus on the love. The more genuine energy that you start to put in the good things, the grateful things, the things of love, it's going to start to amplify. And you can't allow the foundation shaking and rumbling to take your eye off the prize. And right now, the goal is to get through this. Don't even put a whole lot of pressure on yourself. A lot of people are, finding new things, opening and going into business, inventing all type of great stuff. Great stuff, and I salute you. But if all that you could do is get through it, baby, then do that. And I'm proud of you. Because see, some people go under. Some people go into that sunken place and they never come out. Focus on not allowing these situations to take control of your mind. Because once stuff starts to take control of your mind, that's a downward spiral. And a lot of times, it's hard to come out. But just know that you're not in this together. We here at the Shy Love Radio Show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeart Radio, and Spotify Premium. We love you. We here. Try to enjoy the rest of your day. Try to enjoy the rest of your life. Until next time.